Execration though. Fourth pickup for themselves. I'm still a bit annoyed that Doom got nerfed. I mean, I realize it was a minor nerf, but I'm still annoyed about that. There's literally like one player at TI playing Doom, and they just like, nope, that's enough. We'll nerf it a little bit, just in case. Execration, they'll go for the Lifestealer pickup, and we kind of brought this up last game. Wasn't really taken. This time around, they'll try it out. Not really much in the way of dealing with the Lifestealer quite yet, but now that you see the position 1 on the enemy team, AG certainly have some nice options. The one I'm looking at right now is the Terrorblade, which is still available for DB if you wanted to go down that route. Naturally, I imagine Execration will try to ban it out right here, right now. But it is if it is left, seems like a pretty decent option to go after.
Yeah. You could run that, shift the Weaver to the 5 or 4 with a Grimstroke, and just have that big hitting core. The issue with a Lifestealer is that its scaling is very awkward. I think when you look at the steroids Lifestealer has with its passives, they do scale well because they're all percent based, but they're not something flashy. It's not like a PA with massive crits. It just helps you prolong the fight in Lifestealer and makes him really durable, hard to fight against. But the late game scaling is a bit awkward, so I think that's the one thing. There's no natural vehicle as well for Execration to ride with. Void Spirit's one, but we don't really see that prioritized, so I think there might be more emphasis perhaps in the Infest saves coming through. That could be one way to counteract some of AG's great burst with boat combinations in the Kunkka, or even just Doom kills. Right? If Lifestealer is not focused, Doom target can still get infested, and that could stall out the fights for AG.
Wow, they actually get rid of the Ricky Slark here. So leaving the TB available for Army Geniuses if they want to go down that route. Still think it's pretty good. Like, obviously you've got the Infest bomb with the Void Spirit. You're against the Tide, who's probably going to pick up Blink as well, and there's obviously a line to boot, but I think overall the TB still looks really nice here for Army Geniuses. I'm just trying to think of another pick that would kind of suit against the draft of Execration. Is there some shortcomings here? No, never mind that. They're going for a Razor pickup.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It's a great direct counter towards the Lifestealer. It works out in the lane against Tidehunter very well, so you're not going to have issues in that laning matchup, and it comes online quick. I think with the Razor up against Lifestealer, you actually have really decent scaling. It's not like Lifestealer just suddenly takes over in the late game. Razor has scaling too with Refresh and double link Ags upgrade on the Eye of the Storm, just melting heroes down with lots of minus armor. So I think the Razor's a really good response. Like, the Lifestealer doesn't have a great way of playing against that, and this should speed up the pace for AEG. They can play a lot faster compared to game 1. Execration, they could still shift Tide onto support, pick something else for Tino offlane, but it looks like AG does believe that it could just be that offlane Tide, and the Razor does counteract it. They do have about a half a minute left to make that choice here, but they're going to have to choose well, because if you are running Tidehunter offlane against Razor, Razor will enjoy that lane. He's not going to mind at all, and with a Grimstroke or with a Weaver support in that lane, you could either just run through with a minus armor or play with Inkswell. They will go with a Magnus here. No counters from AG, and is the Tino Magnus, so it's an RR Tide on support. And there's some big ways to get team fights going now for Execration. They've got RP Ravage. That can make it tough, and the Razor lane now isn't as clear cut. Like, Tino has some ways of playing around it. He has good wave clear, good mobility to break off the link. So it's not like DB is going to be overwhelmingly strong in the lane anymore.
No, certainly not. What are you thinking though, John? I mean, two very intriguing drafts. I'm much more intrigued by AG with this this position 1 Razor. Just wondering whether it is going to work out. Do you prefer Execration's draft? Do you prefer AG's draft?
It's back and forth. It's hard to call it on draft. I'd say I prefer AG's draft, but I can see Execration's draft lasting to the late game a little bit better because they've got the RP factor. AG, they've got the Doom factor. So that can scale into late game as well. But I think when you've got such a big, strong repositioning control tool on the Magnus, that is something to watch out for. Whether or not Tino will opt for the Shard and play that way, it remains to be seen. I don't think we've seen it from our Magnuses post-Shard nerf, right? Like, from the stun into a slow, 100% slow, it's still a pseudo-stun, but you can run away now. You can just pop BKB, run off. There's a window for that. or just blink away if you have natural blink, and suddenly the combination falls flat. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that. But again, late game scaling for Execration is good. AG still has a way to play it. It all boils down to execution here.
Yeah, it certainly does. Do we have a pause or something going on? It's this loading screen. Well, the screen is taking a long time.
Oh, I think we do. I think we
good.
do. I saw. Well, no, there were 2 disconnects and 2 reconnects. So that shouldn't be a factor. I have no clue what's going on now.
trying to save the camera thing going on right now. There we go. All right. I mean, there's something going on with the connection here. I don't know how to explain it. You look like a Van Gogh piece right now, John. A very nice painting, I'd say. That's the way I could describe it. I guess you could have a look once the stream catches up. Looks very nice, John. You might want to take a screenshot, make an NFT or something. I heard those are in fashion these days.
Oh, God help us. No. No NFTs for Johnny Boy here.
You sure, John?
I am.
All the teams are doing it these days.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. It's pretty big. You know, Adobe's putting NFTs into Photoshop.
Really?
I don't know how that makes sense. They are. An option to... I don't even know how that works. Save as NFT? What does that even mean? Like, are you suddenly putting your art in the blockchain? I don't know. What is that?
The truth is, John, nobody really understands NFTs. I'm convinced nobody actually gets it because but it makes money, right? If it makes money, who cares? We don't need to understand it. You know, just printing money, it's fine. It's the same way that crypto started off as well. Nobody really got it. It was just like, wait, hold on a minute, I can make money off this? I was one of those people, John. You know, I'm not making fun of those people. I own crypto. I'm just saying, nobody really gets it. We're just all doing it.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a funny thing, crypto. That's a long and arduous discussion, Mike. You know me, I can ramble on about that stuff and the philosophy of economy behind that, supply and demand, and what that means with crypto. It's a weirdly philosophical topic. Still, we've got something that's less philosophical, a game of Dota. As both sides are just clumping around, lots of dancing around the triangle. Some all chat a while ago, for some reason DB saying good luck, baby boy. I don't know who he's talking to there. So, you know, AG still feeling good. That's the one thing. When you see AG all chatting like that, you know they're in good mood. Even Wami, when everyone said G, Wami says Sige, which is like, okay, in Filipino. So, yeah, they're feeling it, AG. They're feeling good.
Very, very good. Couldn't help but notice the tag a bot has, by the way, John. I unfortunately Googled that and found out what that meant. I'm not gonna say what it means on stream. Why? You know, because you were talking about it in the lobby. They were mentioning it in the lobby, so I wanted to figure out what it was. So I knew it was something inappropriate, so I didn't want to ask you on stream and put you in an awkward spot. You know, I did you a favor, John.
Yeah. He's had that for a while as well, so I've always been kind of laughing when I see a bot there. Still, Wami's not really laughing. Lots of good early level 1 presence. They've got the Ghoul Frenzy along with the Gush Slow, so they were going to be able to rip through that Doom really fast, down to half HP. Not a good start for Wami, but he will just focus in. Does mean he misses out in level 1 Devour, having to go for Scorched Earth. So that's going to slow down his farm timing just a notch. Going to take him a bit more to hit that level 2 to get that going.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have his time, though. Over in the mid lane, of course, Azura going to be against Bob. Void Spirit versus Kunkka matchup really can go either way. I always like to kind of lean towards the Kunkka, but John, I'll ask you the question. Who has the upper hand in this 1v1 matchup?
I'd say the Kunkka has a bit of a better time. You just play around with Tidebringer, apply harassment onto Bob. I don't think the Resonant Pulse blocks the Tidebringer damage. Oh, I think it actually does. It counts as physical, so you should be able to still sustain, but Azure has free wave clear with no worry. Whereas Bob, every time he pomps that Resonant Pulse, he's going to be down mana. You have to watch out for the Torrent as well. It's not like it's unplayable, though. You are seeing Bob be ahead in CS. I think as long as you maintain that, you hit your level 6 faster, you have a nice spike there in the Void Spirit, and it becomes hard for the Kunkka to hold the Void Spirit down there.
Absolutely. Plus last lane as well. Top lane, Tino going to be there on the mag. Could be an awkward lane for him as you've got DB on the Razor. I think you already kind of brought up the fact that you can skewer away anyway, so you've got that escape mechanism, but you do have to be very wary. It's not the kind of lane where Tino can get aggressive with the skewer. You are pretty much always going to have to hold it to have an escape mechanism if you do get static link like this. And he does, but luckily for him, he is close enough by the tier 1 tower that he doesn't need to commit the skewer. But you catch my point, John. There's really no point in him even having BDZ around, because they can't really do anything. It's just kind of like, just stay alive in this off lane, and we'll be happy.
Yeah, I like that BDZ is just staying away, giving solo XP out to the Magnus, so you can hit those level spikes earlier, maybe go for Empower if you just want to play it passively and farm up here. And it's working out. Varish is getting a little bit more out of lane because of it, soaking up, getting some good pulls off that BDZ can't contest, but he does help secure that water rune refill for Bob. And he does grab both water runes, so he's going to have a good time there, cutting off Azura's own regen. No bottle up in the Kunkka yet. Going to be a slower start, but as the levels build up for DB as well, you know, the Razor's going to hit an early spike. I'd say level 4 is when you can maybe start thinking about jumping in. With level 2 Plasma Field to slow the damage, could let you line up for that Magnus, or the line if he gets caught out. That could be a risky position for Execration.
Mid lane, both mid lane is dropping a little bit low, but still within safety's range. Like BDZ's just playing around that die jungle right now, trying to spot out where the stacks have been made. It's not the case, but he'll loop around, see if he can set up onto the Kunkka, and he's within range now to get that Earth Spike off. Azura not really able to react fast enough here to try and stop this from happening. He does have a support rotation. He's still alive, but surely not for long, as Bob is able to secure the first blood. And Varish, he is not really able to help out.
Yeah, TP was a bit too slow. Didn't manage to make enough time to counterplay. And just a good swipe around from our line. There was a ward watching, but the reaction was a bit slow on Azura. The punishment is good. Bob, not out of dangerous reach yet, though.
Certainly not, Bob. We'll turn around now onto LYM. They might even have enough damage here to take care of this Weaver. They'll leave him be, seeing Asura has made his rotation back into the mid lane. They don't want to overextend and give kills back the way of the Kunkka. Certainly a great start here for Execration, however. Be happy with that.
Yeah,
AG,
I think the one thing that AG is getting is a bit of a better time in their off lane. So Wami's also left solo, and you can't really handle the Doom solo with a bot. Like, the Lifestealer is just not a very active hero, so your Doom's still going to be able to get its flash farm going. The large camp has been blocked, so there are no good creeps for Wami to go for, but he's still hitting his farm timings. And he's going to have phase boots, he's going to maybe rush the Midas, and from there, Doom will just scale towards that late game just fine.
Alright, get caught out again by the Aether Remnant. Bob really playing on the edge with this low HP pool, but with BDZ still around, he can comfortably do this. Azura actually drops very, very low. He just made his way back over to the mid lane. So a bit of a struggle for Azura right now, as he's unable to even get the bottle up on this Kunkka. Definitely not the greatest start in the world, that's for sure. Bob just really outplaying him, though. I say outplaying, he has constantly had BDZ rotating in. So it's not really a 1v1 matchup anyway. BDZ again going to rotate over. He'll get rid of the Observer Ward that Azura did have to protect him. Now we even see Tino rotating over now on the Magnus. So he is just going to farm the triangle now, understanding he cannot remain in that offlane much longer.
Okay, but they have a massive window here from Execration. AG has not set up any forward wards, so the triangle stacks are going to be very easy for Magnus with level 3 and power to clear out. Still trying to get the jump onto Bob.
And the Assimilate's going to be there, so no X back there for Azura. You've still got... Oh, that's a lot of damage. My goodness, the Tidebringer is almost taking out Bob. When you have BDZ there, just in case he needs it. You know what, Bob? He's got 2 bounty runes just sitting there anyway. But, you know, two-thirds of the bottle refills up here for Bob. He can basically just return back to the lane. Everything's back to normal.
Yeah, I do think that Execration leaving the side lanes might be a bit detrimental, though. It's free farm for DB. It's almost free farm for Wami. Again, you do have the jungle that Tino has just recently cleared out, so he does have his arcane boots, a little bit more presence in the lane. But this Razor is off to a good start. Falcon Blade up, Power Tread's not too far off. They will make the move, though.
But they will. They're going to try. To Wami they go. He'll be alright. Meanwhile, top lane, looks like the Magnus is in trouble. DB does end up picking one off Bob. He's trying to get aggressive here, but he might be in danger. BDZ trying to save Bob. He's dropping so darn low, and they're all going to just fall. One by one, DB just takes them out. And that's a 3-for-0 trade. Definitely not what you want to see if you're an Execration fan.
And that was basically a 3-man rotation onto DB for most of that part. It kind of messed up when they dropped the Earth Spike, but the Plasma Field went out. So the slow was there, Tino could not get in position for the Skewer back, and that's when the gank went south. Top tier 1 taken very early on by DB. Nice tower, not the best tower to take, but it still does allow them to maybe sneak into that triangle a bit better. They've got a forward ward now watching the stacks, and they can look to contest future stacks built up. And that puts AG at a really good start. 1 to 3, free lane for DB, free lane for Wami, has that Midas up, and has stacks that are uncontested to clear out, so even our Doom gonna hit its early timings on. And once you get a blink down line, once you get more on Wami, once you have that Doom available, it can be pretty scary playing into that.
Smoke up. They're going to try again onto this Razor. I mean, last time around it doesn't work out, DB. He's got help around him again. Like, he's got Azura this time, so even scarier than the last engagement.
Great scan.
Great scan indeed. They know they're smoked up, so it's a bit of a bait now as they move in onto Bob again with the silence out. Inkswell, not going to land though. Bob, he should be alright. Azura, unable to get in range to get the X off. You've got LYM on the support Weaver moving in with a double damage. There's Bob. Still got a step charge, so should be alright. But Azura with the Torrent is barely going to clip the Void Spirit. And Bob will eventually end up going down. Very nice there from our Kunkka.
Yeah. Timely rotation, great kill to pick up. And they are applying that pressure on the triangle. So they're not able to restack the jungle, to build up under mag, to give some space out for their lifesteal. Tino is playing in the top jungle themselves, so there is some protection with the forward ward. But this pacing is starting to hurt. Like, we always talk about this with Void Spirit, but it does feel like it needs really early items to be up to be effective. It looks like the Kai-san just lined up now for Bob in this game, just trying to get some stat resist and more damage coming through from his burst. And once that's up, you should feel comfy. But look at DB, he's just taking control finally.
That he is, RR. Meant to be a tanky Tide Hunter, even that pos 5 roll, but not when DB's around, that's for sure. You pointed this out earlier, but in the meantime, Wami has just been peacefully farming on this Doom. Midas up already, he's just having a great old time. I mean, you could make the same argument for a Bart, but it is a much slower process. And against the Doom later on, that Doom is going to hurt him quite a bit. Though we are going to have a quick pause out. DB needs a bit of time here.
Yeah, just a bit of a reconnect. It looks like Varish is actually going to need that reconnect. Still a freeze, they say. All right, it does happen. Southeast Asia.
Absolutely.
Sometimes things act up.
Are we going to have a very controversial discussion now, John? Earlier on, you talked about your very philosophical thoughts about cryptocurrency.
Oh.
Do I want to hear it? Do the people want to hear it?
I don't think they do, but I put my piece out for content. I got to pump out that content.
All right.
So crypto, it's a weird thing because first Bitcoin was kind of popping off in like 2012, right? Like 2012, 2010 was the first big wave of crypto. And crypto was starting in like 2008 for Bitcoin. That was the first big one. 2010, 2012 was when that kind of popped in. And when it initially started making waves, I had a mindset that it was like, breaking fiat currency's hold on the global economy. And now it's just a speculator's tool. It's a short form of that. I used to think it was breaking fiat. Now it's probably worse than fiat in that like valuation sense. It's a speculator's market. I mean, it is. But the implications of that goes far and wide. Unfortunately, Mike, that's all I'll say, as we are back in the game. Quick pause.
I appreciate that. It sounded like you were reading a book for a moment there, John. I was like, Jesus, I wanted a quick point here, not a... it felt like you were reading the Bible for a second, John. My goodness.
Oh, I can get long-winded about stuff, Mike. I'm an art student, or my past was art, so I can dissect every single thing. I was trained to do so. That's my studies.
You were trained to do that, huh? Trained to do absolutely nothing more like it, John. I mean, arts degrees just get you nowhere. At least in Australia, let me tell you, John. And for you, I mean, you're a living example, I suppose. For lack of a better word.
Don't go into animation, guys.
DB gonna get jumped. Nice Aether Remnant there from Bob into the Earth Spike and the finger, but it's not enough.
What?
He's just so tanky. Bob now be chased down. He's out of step charges again. But it won't matter because they can't keep up with him. But you see DB already at about 1.3k HP. Just not bothered. Mid lane. Are they going to be able to actually get Azura? They do get the Earth Spike into the Skewer back. No boat available, so he's not going to be quite as tanky. Xfor's going to be there, Soulbind out as well. RP not out, the mute is in. Wami is going to make sure Azura has a chance, but it's not going to be for long as a Bart is out now in a big Rig Ravage. RR setting up for even more. A Bart just cleans them up. DB, he cannot continue this team fight, but the Aether Remnant going to drag him right back into where he does not want to be. In fact, Skewer back as well. Tino with the RP. It's a full team wipe.
Man, Execration, they played that one cleanly. AG streaming in one by one. It looked good when they managed to get the Doom off onto Tino, but they did not have the follow-up damage. They needed the boat there. Like, the fact that it was on cooldown for Azura meant that entire fight was so hard to take. And Execration, bringing a bot in early, leveraging that great damage output he has just with the armlet. Mentioned to rip through those strength heroes. That's the one thing, right? We never talked about this much, but Lifestealer does punish these high HP heroes. Razor has pretty high strength gain, has a lot of HPs, you can rip right through him. Doom, Kunkka are both strength heroes. So the passives of the Lifestealer this game will pay dividends. It just punishes you so much, that feast. And they didn't quite have the answers for a bot. So, great response from Execration. They dragged the lead back their way, 6-4, less than 1k lead on their side. And for AG, I don't think they're completely ready yet. Like, Wami does still need a blink BKB. You still need more to come out onto Azura as well. It's been such a slow Kunkka game. He is barely ahead of the off-lane Magnus, way behind in comparison to Bob and a bot. In fact, the only well-farmed 4 on AG is Wami, but that's really just because he's a Doom with Midas. So, all things considered, the state of the economy for AG isn't really up to snuff here.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
We're going to have to group up and try to make something happen here, AG. It seems like they're just trying to wait for DB to have the BKB up before they go too far, but based off that last team fight, got to be a little bit wary. I mean, DB, he looks so strong during the lane, but is it going to be able to transition to this mid game now? Execration. Not only have they got the top tier 1, but they've got the mid tier 1, so the map is relatively open as now. They're going to find a double damage room there for Bob. Azura, though, going to get an X off, but can he actually lock down Bob? Not quite. He'll just assimilate it away. Oh, Tino going for a blind skewer. Nice attempt, just off the mark.
Yeah, I appreciate the initiative. And for Execration and AG, it's a bit of a benefit for Execration. So much space for a bot up top. He's just free farming right now. Complete control of the top jungle, shoving out the wave. So our Lifestealer is within 200 gold of Doom. That's not good news. A Doom should be much further ahead. Would a Midas and Devour. It's just not shaping up here for AG, so something has to come out soon. Smoke from Execration not going to lead to much. They don't have forward vision in that bottom area for Execration. They only had that top ward at the jungle. They didn't really run that way. The AG manages to avoid some conflict for now. I think their next spike on AG side will be BKBs on DB and on Wami. Once you have a core that can stand up front, it becomes a lot easier. You do have the blink up on Wami, so there is the potential for double Doom with Soulbind. And that can be really strong. But I don't think AG is going to be able to find that lineup quite well. With Execration's draft, you can just sit back with a Tide and sit back with your Magnus, or just have one of the two up front, and you'll get control of one of them, but the other teamfight spell will come through.
Right now, AG just don't seem interested whatsoever in fighting. Like, they're still just farming up, still just trying to get a bigger lead. You know, I feel like they're just waiting for these BKBs to be up on DB. And of course, Wami.
Back to port.
Maybe at that point you feel a lot more confident taking these fights, but for now they just do not seem interested whatsoever as Execration. They're the ones getting aggressive. Up at that top lane they go. You've got the Ravage up, LYM. It's only going to be a support Weaver if they can find it. And they won't. LYM, he's fine. In the meantime, you do have a BKB up on Asura. It still seems like it's not going to be enough for them to commit a smoke and try to group up and go.
No. I think you're going to need to back that up with the Doom BKB at least, or the Razor BKB. It has to be 2 heroes with a BKB up. They will have DB's BKB flying in. It does look like. So at the least there's that secondary hero with spell immunity up. And you can kind of play around that. But both sides are very conservative. Just clumped up as 5 or 4. And just trying to work the areas of the map they are under control in. They will TP down bot on Execration side. Link up on Tino, they could try to play.
Oh, DB, he gets skewered back right into the Hex of BDC, and they pop the finger, and that'll be enough. Bob, he'll clean up the kill. Onto Marish now, they'll get another. Very bad news for Army Geniuses. I mean, he had the BKB, but he just had no time to throw it out.
Radiant's middle tower is under
The
attack.
chain stuns coming through from Execration were good. They did have enough burst this time from BDZ with a finger, and they make it work. AG gonna have to be playing on the back foot. They aren't farming as efficiently. Remember, this is a Lifestealer with Empower on hand and a Magnus with Empower, so they can clear out the camps, clear out the waves very quickly. Whereas for AG, it's really just Wami with Midas, and it's only him really growing big. You are still seeing DB and Azura lag behind, so the items aren't flowing in as quick as you'd want. Again, maybe just wait for that BKB to be up on Wami. 5-man smoke though from Execration. They can force him. They still have RP, they still have Ravage, they have all the spells they need to fight.
They go mid lane, AG hanging around, holding their ground. Execration trying to find a nice way into this fight. DB might be a perfect target, but he's got the BKB off in time. Immediately out, stun is there onto BDZ. So they'll get the lion down. Can they find more though? Do you want some more valuable hero pickoffs? But LYM, he's going to go on a bit of a ride with Tino. But we'll go right back with the time lapse. Zura just unable to get in range for a nice X back. So at the very least, they put a stop to the big smoke gank. They get a BDZ kill, but that's about all they're going to get.
I think the BKB commitment from DB was a bit big. So that's going to open up potential Ravage play from R that will connect. And he's also got his blink up on the Tide. So it is a bit risky for DB right now. But it's not too long till it's back off cooldown. So it's going to make use of that time to just keep farming up. Net worth has been tied up at less than 1k for Execration. So they've still got an advantage. But again, it's not the best of news when you've got the Doom. That is still just the Doom's gold holding you steady there. The rest of your cores are still trying to build up. Tino's still in a really good spot here, just playing around that top jungle.
LYM can get X'd up Tino. How do you get out of this one? The boat will connect. That should be more than enough with the Tidebringer. Bob, he was trying to get in range to help out, but just wasn't able to get there in time. So an 8-6 now, slight net worth lead for AG. Hard to know who this game's really favoring at the moment because both teams have spent the majority of the game just farming. And it seems to be continuously just going down that route. You wonder how this Razor is going to transition later on. Like, how well does Razor go into the late game?
Not particularly well, but I think in this specific case, because you are up against a Lifestealer, it scales really nicely. Just because you always sap away Lifestealer's damage, you can itemize fairly nicely as well. You could go for Refresh. In fact, you don't really need Refresh if you're looking for a double static link. You just need a good soul bind. Issues are not playing around at.
LYM gets caught out, gets bursted down on the Weaver. Nice pick up there by Bob as he looks for more, but is unable to find anyone. Again, it's just constant support pickups being made here by either side, but neither one just really willing to fully commit for a big team fight yet. I'd say Execration are more willing to commit. AG certainly not so much. Just continuing to play the avoid game and buying themselves more time to try and get that massive net worth advantage they're looking for, but it's just not coming. And the only person that's really climbing in net worth is the Doom. Your Weaver and your Razor, or rather your Razor and your Kunkka, they're not really going up much higher.
Yeah, they're lagging behind. It's hard for them to keep up against the Empower on basically every core of Execration. Tino's doing a good job. Bot's doing a good job of just building up. The Scotty's coming through from our life series. That's the big spike for that Euro. Additional slow coming through with your Ghoul Frenzy and your Feast on top of it. Becomes really hard to disengage. Could you hit the spike now? Wami does have his BKB, so this could be the smoke timing AG has been waiting for, and they will clump up. They will go for that smoke. Not scouted out. Maybe the illusion had the ramp vision, perhaps, but the pinks are flying through.
Mid lane. I am going to sneak through RR on the high ground. Is ready to break the smoke and does still have Blink Ravage available. He'll blink to the low ground. He needs to kind of survive this for this team fight to go their way, but the boat's going to fly in. Do they have the damage to burst him down? It looks like they just may. But he tried to help with the infest, but it was not enough. Onto LYM. Bob does at least trade supports. They even get BDZ. DB, he'll just rush forward, but the buyback is there from our liners. Now Bob, he's going to reinitiate back in onto Azura. They'd love the Conquer kill if they could get it. Tino, he'll even commit the RP just in case. He'll be able to lock down the Conqueror and take him out. The buyback from BDZ does end up working out for him.
Yeah, it's a really good trade for Execration as well. 2 supports for a support and a core on AG side. They get the better end of the trade. They only had to sacrifice Finger and RP. You still hold on to Ravage. You still got a big team fight tool from your Tide for any engagement while that cooldown's up. And AG, I mean, they tried to leverage that BKB on Wami. They didn't even manage to get the Doom in position to use Doom. It became a really tricky fight. I feel like Execration did manage to get that vision out with the illusion right on the ramp. So it might have been a red move from Execration. They just managed to posture properly. They declump. They managed to force some BKB uses as well in the middle of that fight. And they come out on top. But he's really close to that Scotty now. Ultimate Orb basically coming in. Second one. You're just lacking one more point booster. And then you're golden. You can't really fight against it. Although,
RR again. Poured out burst. So again, you're down without Ravage. Execration, they cannot really force the fight without it. Army Geniuses, unfortunately for them, they don't really have a great Roshing lineup. So they're kind of stuck not being able to go for that objective. I suppose on the other bright side, you still have that mid-tier 1 tower that you have to pick up anyway.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Jump in again. Found another with the stop out. And it's going to be a fair bit of damage out. However, you've lost Wami. He's unable to get the Doom off in time. And this Magnus finally goes down, but Bob, he's cleaning up. He's found LYM as well. Problem is now DB's going to chase him down. You've got no step charges right now, but a Bub's coming in to help out. A great Earth Spike BDC into the Ravage from RR. They will get absolutely everyone. Barish, he will be able to TP out in time, but Asura not going to be so lucky. That's the kind of team fight you want to see from Execration.
Yeah, they're swinging it their way. I have to say, a bot has been on point with the infest saves. And we talked about this from draft earlier on, but because there's no real natural vehicle for the Lifestealer, the saving plays are going to be emphasized, and he's done that twice. He saved RR, stalling out the fight in that last engagement, and in this fight, he managed to stall it out for Chino. So just that window where the additional HP stalls out the burst from AG makes it hard for them to refocus and target someone else, and buys enough time for Execration to reposition and get into the fight. Roche fight's going to be a bit hard for AG as well. They've still got RP on hand, but AG's got to make a move here.
Oh, nice stun out, Wami. This time around, he'll get the Doom off onto that Lifestealer, but the RP going to be there from Tino to try and slow this down. They will not even be able to get the deny off onto a Bart. So a nice setup there from Wami. Because now maybe they can get started on this Roshan. It's only quarter of a HP left, so they don't really need a Roshing lineup anymore. They just need to hit it a few times. Bob's going to stick around though. He'll need to try and go for the steal here. The stun out from Wami. Vision being provided with the 8th of Revenant. It's now the step in. Bob, he's a little bit early to the party, but they're going to fight over this. The Aegis is taken by DB. The Razor does pick it up. And now Execration need an exit plan. They'll go after LYM, but it's going to cost them quite a few lives as DB is just cleaning up on this Razor. Bob, he's got no step charges left. He's going to try and run the old-fashioned way. It's not looking great for him, though, as DB. He will pick up a triple kill, and he's got the Aegis intact. Happy days.
Yeah, they make it work. LYM sticking a bit too close towards Bob there at the end. Does get the tip from DB for dying. But it works out for AG. They managed to get the pick off onto that life stealer first. They did not need to wait for double doom. They just needed to doom the right guy. And the life stealer seems to be the right guy, even though their control for the Void Spirit is not the best. But they managed to make it work, and Execration, it falls flat. They did have the counterplay with the Magnus. They could not get off the angles they want. Very disruptive play from Wami, just running around, cutting off the ramps, preventing them from finding that blink, and they just run with it. So AG starting to hit their spike, 2k lead going their way, as they've got the Aegis for protection on DB for about 4 more minutes. And he's got a lot of gold in the bank. SNY up and running along with the Falcon Blade and BKB. So the stat resist is there. I'm wondering if he just rushes the refresh now. Like, you know, just having double Eye of the Storm is massive in these fights. The minus armor you apply is ridiculous. And even just double static link. There's potential for like, what, 4 static links? Because if you link it, you can apply it to one, then reapply it to the other as well with a soulbind. So that could be a back and forth that works out for DB later on.
Army geniuses. Move down bot. Bob. We'll scout it out for a second, but he should be just fine to get back to his fountain. Maybe a 4-man smoke up though here from Execration as they start to move in. This is still into the Aegis of DB, so it could be quite risky. Looks like Barish is going to be spotted immediately, so the Inkswell not going to buy him enough time to get out. A little pick up there on the support, but that's about all they're going to get. Army geniuses, they won't stick around too much longer. They just immediately disperse.
Double damage.
Just keep building up, keep trying to farm up while waiting for your Grimstroke to be up. I think if they do manage to force a fight once their Grim is back, again, double static link, double doom could come through. If they do manage to find Wami getting the angle on the life stealer, that turns the fight on its head and puts Execration in back foot. So a really even game from both sides. Execration, I mean, they've been finding some pickoffs. We haven't seen them take a team fight since mid, you know, in that big fashion with the RP, with a Ravage. I think that's where their lineup excels, so that's what they need to look to force out. There is an infest on BDZ. They've got Finger. They could look for something to kill, but no vision means that they're not really finding anyone. They could snipe LYM, but it's not a major kill you want there.
And he's going to be fine anyway. He'll just TP out. They will not find him in time. Army geniuses, they are grouped up. D-Ward's out, but with 5 heroes around the ward, it does feel a little bit obvious that they're smoked. Maybe not, though. BDZ and Abat still at top lane. Doom in the backside. They've got the Magnus, and the Ravage is there. RR trying to save the day, but you are going to lose Tino, and now you should lose RR. 2 pickoffs there for Wami. They've still got about a minute left on this Aegis, so they may be able to start trying to pressure a tower at the very least.
And they're lined up for it. They're eyeing for mid. They don't have to worry about Ravage. There is an RP if the buyback flies through. But I think you're fairly happy. You don't have Doom available to get control, so it is a bit of a risk. But it doesn't take too long for the race to rep true. And there's not much they can do in putting their bodies forward. They're going to have to kind of just pace themselves. Fortify will stall out though, and respawns are getting short. It's a safety net you don't really mind. Refresh is going to be built up as well though.
We'll jump in. A lot of damage on DB. He's going to lose the Aegis. Luckily for him, it hadn't expired yet, but Bob now has been caught out by the Expo. They're going to try and jump in and blow him up. Bob, he can't survive through it. Abat tried with the Infest. Wasn't enough, but now Tino jumps in. There's the RP up, but they've only got LYM. Nice RP, but the BKB did not allow the skewer to push back Asura. So ultimately, Army Geniuses, they should be walking out very happy.
And I was on the edge on that BKB use. Like, if he just waited a little bit more, let the RP stun play out, I think they might have had enough window to drag back Azure as well. So, hasty decisions were made. They do at least catch one, but it's not the big kill they wanted here on Execration's side. At the least, they defend their mid-tier too. So they get to hold on to that area of the map for a little bit longer. AG, they know RP is down. They know Ravage is down, but not for too long. They will have Doom back up in half a minute, so they'll only need to worry about RP. Only about Ravage, which means they can focus solely on the Tide in the next engagement. And that is going to be a very big engagement. They've got the Shivas up on Wami. The refresh, almost done on DB. So double Static Link, double Eye of the Storm coming through. The Razor is going to be very hard to fight into. This is its sort of scaling start. Once you've got the double spell usage, it can be really hard to play against. The next step would be like an Ags up on DB. And once he's got the Ags, that Eye of the Storm is going to be hurting so much more.
Yeah, certainly so. Thing is, though, this Lifestealer has been just farming this whole time. Top of the net worth board now is a butt. I know the problem is if you get doomed up, it just means nothing anyway. Seems to be the major issue here for a butt is he's got to choose his fights very carefully. Nevertheless, he is still farming very effectively here on this Lifestealer. DG still not able to really get many objectives with this kind of draft. They are still lacking that tower push. They're lacking the Roshan ability. Not that it's up anyway, but you kind of get my point. Execration. So just going to hold back, relax, buy a bit more time.
Yeah, I think this actually benefits AG a lot more. Like, their item spikes are going to be pretty big. Ags coming through from Azura means the water park is going to be open. And once Rage fades, it's not like you're going to be buying that BKB on a bot. So once that duration, once that 6-second spell immunity fades, the control coming through from the Kunk is going to be really big. He already has the AC up and running for more armor. And that's the one thing with Lifestealer, all his bonus damage is physical, I do believe. So everything that flies through is just physical. Armor kind of blocks off a lot of his scaling damage. And that is something AG is kind of set up for now. As the stalling out will lead to double doom for Wami as well. Refresh coming up next. With a Midas Devour, it's not going to take too much longer. Halfway there into finishing up the refresh. So again, a lot of scaling items here for the rest of AG. Execration still have that teamfight advantage with RP piercing through all the BKBs, but they've got to find the angle soon.
Zora, we found with the X back, a bot has been spotted. He'll immediately just pop the rage and run. AG. Oh, you've got that Ags up now. Torrent Storm available for Azura. Let the chaos ensue. There's your 5-man smoke up. Everything you could ask for is available on AG. It's got a very difficult team fight by Execration. A double damage rune as well to make matters worse. Could be perfect bait, and it will be. Oh. They jump in for the Doom. They've got the Lifestealer, but a big Ravage and an RP comes out, Tino. They're going to try and turn it. Do they have the damage output? Not quite. It's not looking great. They're going to drop a butt. They're still losing 3. They threw everything. It just wasn't enough.
Bob?
Yeah, Bob's been caught out as well, John. He's going to try. Does kill off DP. And he actually might make it out of this. Wami, he'll keep up the chase. Has the follow-up stun. And actually might have the damage.
Ooh.
And does. Very nice, Wami. He'll get all the tips.
That was such a good read on Wami, figuring out that, you know, he's not going to be jumped by that, what do you call it, dissimulate, and just blink forward, catches out Void Spirit in the end. It looked amazing. Like, the RP, the Ravage looked great, but they couldn't rip through the cores. They only had enough damage to kill off the 2 supports, and from there, these tanky cores just took control. As long as you doom up Lifestealer, and that takes away his passives. It takes away so much of his toolkit. He cannot stand and fight, and it just feels really awkward once your Lifestealer is isolated. It's a great bait play with a double damage, with Wami getting that read to blink forward and get the control off. Roshan is back up, and this is going to be a tough rush fight for Execration if it happens soon. No RP for 48, no Ravage for a minute. And AG, they do lack their core. No Razor, makes it a bit awkward. But they will still have like half a minute window where Ravage is not going to be available if they do want to rush. I don't think they clear rush in that half-minute window though. They're still not the fastest rush lineup. They might still have to deal with all the team fight coming through, but Execration, you're seeing the issue here. You are scaling on Lifestealer. but your scaling on Magnus, your scaling on Void Spirit isn't as great. And it does feel like, I think you have to prioritize Tino's farm relatively soon.
Dire are scanning.
Just where does it end? Like, you land all your abilities, but if the Doom's out on a butt, you just haven't got damage.
Yeah. I mean, they did get that Lincoln's on Bob to protect, but he didn't manage to get the spell shield off in time to block the Doom. And I think now that they saw that Lincoln's up in the middle of the fight, I think Wami's going to be very aware of that usage and just kind of try to pop it with the Infernal Blade first before opting to drop the Doom. He's going to be a bit more patient and to jump in. And that could just lead him to actually line up more for the Soulbind Doom play. That's going to be big if it still lands. And we still haven't seen it, just because most of the time they jump in with Soulbind, it does latch onto Lifestealer and he just immediately infests. It still doesn't matter. Like, if you don't get the Soulbind anyway, if you still target the Lifestealer, we've seen it before, a bot just falls apart. And that is the way AG should look to keep playing.
AG moving in. Tino gonna skewer away. BDZ gonna go into that tree line. Should be able to find a way to TP up. Eventually. Well, there's no real sign of this game ending inside. It feels like you've still got so many tier 2 towers standing. AG, it feels like they've had the advantage for such a long time, but again, based off their draft, they just can't push any towers yet. And you're gonna have that opportunity soon with DB because the axe is coming out, but we'll see if Execration could get something done before that point. For now, a bot is gonna have the AC coming out, so you might want to go for a big smoker. Problem is, you're not gonna have buyback on the lifesteal. I suppose with the way this game's gone, you need to make something happen. DB?
DB?
Oh, Horntoss is there. They've got him. Tino gonna catch out the Razor. Aeon is gonna protect him for now. Ravage in the backside, but there's no real follow-up. Bob, he'll at least get Bridge down, but the buyback's there. Arnel, he'll be the second to fall. But he's got no buyback.
That was a good jump onto DB, but he's got that Aeon Disc. He's not very easy to burst down all.
Zura. Yeah, hexed up, but again, the X is there. Be able to put the high. Oh, the RP comes out with the Infest Bomb as well. They refresh everything on Wami. They throw out the double Dooms, but is it going to matter? Can they really capitalize off this? They're going to try. A Bard in a bit of trouble. Bob trying to block them up and save his Lifestealer, and he's bought enough time. A Bard now, he can move back in, or maybe not Wami. And the Torrent, it'll be enough. They've got the Lifestealer without buyback. Oh, it's a great RP out from Tino. It just may not matter.
That was big. AG, they were forced to buy back, so they lose a bit for gold from that exchange, but that opens up Roshan. They can go into the pit. They don't have to worry about Ravage. They don't have to worry about RP, and this is going to give them a bit more leeway onto the high ground. The damage is starting to stack up. Like, that double Eye of the Storm is just so much to deal with.
Oh, nice one toss. Tino watching those collapse replays, John. Gets one in the Zura and now has another in DB, it looks like. DB, he'll pop the ulti, he'll try to run. The skewer is going to be right on target. Tino, he'll find another. LYM, he's not going to be safe either. On that Weaver, he'll be the third to fall. Somebody was watching TI-10 apparently, John.
That they were. And Tino getting the best uses out there, getting the control they need. I think that nerf on Horn Toss doesn't matter when you have a line. So really good positioning coming out from our line to get the follow-up Earth Spike. So the stun's still there. You know, the stun's still flying out because BDZ's around with the Earth Spike, and that just means you don't have that window to use your BKBs up.
Wami, though, at least he's going to maybe find BDZ. BDZ? No, he used the spell immunity with the Mana Drain to take off the damage with the Infernal Blade, and now the Horn Toss and the Skewer back again. Tino. He's found another. It's very creative from BDZ, John, using the Shard's Mana Drain to avoid the damage.
Oh, yeah. He was maybe a tick away from dying, manages to save himself. And now AG, they have to play high ground defense without their cores. Half a minute. They're going to lose at least one tier 3, probably to Rax as well. They do not have Doom, or at least the double Doom's down for a bit longer. It is going to be back up, but they have to find that angle. I think they have to surrender a set of racks. They can't get any other lane going. Tier 2 still stands top, Tier 1 stands bot. So you're not going to lose too much here, but it will give Execration a nice lead. 9k up now off the back of that team fight, and AG need to respect the Magnus now. We are seeing Tino is making a lot of work happen, and he is building up. He's got the Aether Lens for a really long range of his skewers. He's made great use of that. Refresh going up next. The Roche is going to be started. They've got RP, they've got Ravage back up. AG, this could be a really tough fight for them.
That it could. Smoke up though. AG's going to try, and they kind of have to try as the plasma field will come out, but RR, he's in. He's going to Ravage in the back, making sure they can not close the gap. Roshan still going down, and they need to rush right now. They've still got time, but not quite enough. But he'll take the Aegis. DB, he does get RR, but they are unable to contest the Roshan. In the meantime, Bob, he's dropped to Wami. They do get one. Tino, he'll be alright. He'll TP right out in front of DB. So 2 heroes go down, but Execration, they walk away with the Aegis and shards intact.
And that's really big. Like, the shard will enable them to possibly just get open wounds on a bot if they feel like they need it. They could just pass it on as well. Second life on a bot, relieve some of that pressure on the buyback. He will have buyback gold in about 100, so they're reaching a point where it's going to be hard for AG to play against this time. Like, they still have these double Dooms, double Eye of the Storms. They need to kind of play around the Soulbind combos now. They have to catch multiple heroes, and think their initiation has to be on point. The Magnus has to go along with the Lifesteal. Like, those are the 2 high priority targets. I don't think Tide Ravage is a big issue.
Oh, X out, DB. Aeondis is going to save him for now as they turn around onto a buff, but the Ravage again. Tino going to set up for a bot. Just gifts him a couple kills. LYM, he's going to be able to time-lapse in time. Wami's jumped in. Where's the Doom? The Horn Toss. He can't get it off in time. Or maybe he can. There it is. It does fly out. Tino, he's gone, and so is the bot. They'll get the lifesteal up, but they don't want to deal with him a second time. They just don't feel confident in their ability to take him down. Execration, they'll have to walk. 3 heroes down for the price of 1.
It's a back and forth trade. AG is still going to be happy. They burn off the Aegis, so they don't have to worry about the second life on a bot any longer. And they did actually manage to get the double Doom off on the right targets. Like, that wasn't refresh. That was Soulbind, Doom on Lifestealer and Magnus. The right targets you want. So if they do that again, catch the Magnus and the Lifestealer in a Soulbind with a Doom up, you can really take control, but it's a very specific play that AG has to constantly make. If not the Soulbind Doom, then it has to be Refresh Doom immediately on Magnus and then Lifestealer. I think the Magnus takes priority because of his relocation spells. Then you Doom up the Lifestealer. But that window is so tight. And for AG, I think their biggest issue right now is that LYM is very up close as the Weaver. He's not far enough to get the time-lapse off, but that time-lapse range has been nerfed time and time again. It's not very long. 500 range is just not wide enough. So you're always within risk of RP and of Ravage. And I don't think we've really seen LYM use the time-lapse in big way on one of his cores, and that needs to come true. That sustain has to be a factor that Execration starts to worry about.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
We might see another team fight very, very soon, John. Execration. No, they're not going to go for the high ground yet. It's another long game for us. With this one already 45 minutes in. Tier 2 Towers just barely going down now, and you know both teams want to wait for another Roshan. That's for sure.
Dire are scanning.
AG. Still working towards that Aghanim Scepter on DB.
A golden thread.
I mean, right now it just feels like Wami's the real carry here on the Doom. But you wouldn't mind that double ulti with the Ags.
Yeah.
Go in again, mid lane. There's a bit of a setup here from Execration. Steep wards down, they want the vision. Both, in fact, go for the exact same wards. Just staring at each other right now, very awkwardly. Neither one gonna go for them. In fact, never mind. Bob, he'll jump in. Doesn't quite get the Observer, though. There you go. But he'll clean it up.
He just runs in, uses the Rage. Not too long for cooldown, so they're going to be safe. AG, they're the ones playing with their backs against the wall. They know that the team fight of Execration is a lot better. with Ravage, with RP, their immediate jump in is a lot stronger than AG. AG is still relying a lot on the Doom, and to an extent the Soulbind. Just been very difficult for that to latch, so Execration, working your cards right, keeping every lane shoved in, and AG, they don't really have much to farm right now. They don't have control of the map, they don't have access to their top jungle, the lanes are shoved out fairly nicely, but that's always a bit of a risk, opens up more angles here.
On lane, BDZ gonna force out the Aeon Disc proc from DB. Here comes the Cavalry Tino, who we're heading for. Looking for an RP attempt. DB, he's gonna try and chase BDZ down. Wommy, meanwhile, gets the Doom off. Onto Bob, refreshes, gets another one with the Lifestealer. They've got the 2 targets they want. Bob, he's gone down. Onto the Lifestealer they go. Can they find him though? They've got so much damage. He's almost out of that mute. In fact, he gets out in time, but he's not gonna be able to reach it up.
It's under attack.
You are dead.
They both have buyback on the brighter side.
Ooh. It's still good for Execration. They did not pop RP, they did not pop Ravage, so the next team fight will have those spells, but they will have to surrender their tier 2, possibly the high ground. I think they're going to have to buy back if they want to hold the high ground, unless Tino delivers the goods once more, gets a really big RP, great horn tosses with skewers back. That could be the play. However, LYM has a big item. The Aeon Disc does mean that our Weaver now should be able to use time-lapse. And that could change the way these fights break out. If DB lives through that combination, the Razor can still take control in the middle of these fights.
Are fortified.
RP's out, Tino. Gonna go for the skewer back. Buyback is that
Oh.
right into the fountain they go. Aeon Disc has been procced. DB, he can't survive this. He's gonna drop it now. They'll try to force the team fight. Azura, he's been targeted here by Bob. Can they lock him down? Maybe after that BKB's over. There's your Torrent Storm out from Azura. He'll try to make a run out with it. Tino, he's in the chaser in the mag. Aether Remnant will end up landing and they'll be able to clean up. 2 big core pickups here for Execration. And Army Geniuses, they are unable to take a T3 tower.
That's a great fight, but that did cost your buyback in Lifestealer. Right, they had to buy back on Bob and a bot. So they're on a bit of an awkward time here for Execration. There's no Roshan to play for yet. We're still a minute away from finding that respawn timer. And that's enough time for AG to have the respawn up on Azure once more in the Kunkka. For AG, Ravage is down, RP still up. So this could be an awkward fight. Wami needs to land the right Doom targets once more. Just pop the refresh, get the right targets, and try to clean up from there. He does have the Arcane blink up, so when he does blink in, that will lower the cooldown on his Doom anyway. And that should be a massive boon for him. And it should help AG kind of get the spacing out right. Still, protection's coming through for a bot. He does have the Lincolns, and that might catch AG off guard. Wami has to be very careful now when he throws that Doom out, because if he doesn't Doom the Lifestealer, he's going to have one less Doom target with a refresh.
Structures are fortified.
Bot. Move in, smoke is there from Army Genius. He's looking for a way, but Tino,
Oh.
no, not going to be able to get the skill this time. Varish gets the 4-star. He's able to survive. So the tier 3 does drop. They get a melee barracks, and that's going to be enough. Execration slowly just taking away the base of Army Geniuses. They continue to struggle to go high ground. I mean, this draft's just not doing them any favors in that respect.
There's still that potential with the Eye of the Storm, but it's very tricky for DB. He has to be very patient with BKB. The refresh skewer backs are strong. There's no counterplay from AG. They don't have something like the Rubik. They do have the Hex on the Kunkka. So there is at least the Hex to kind of cut that off for now. We'll see how much of an impact it does have. Roche a minute away. Unfortunate for AG, as they do have a bit of a stronger position right now on the map. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Execration, again, they've got a lot of Lincolns to protect a bot. They have been tossing out the Lincolns from Bob onto a bot for that double Lincolns, making it very difficult for Wami to actually commit, because he could just Doom refresh Doom to break the first Lincolns if he wants, but with double Lincolns, that just wastes both tubes. So it's going to have to be very level-headed here. Very patient on Doom to get the right targets, and Execration, They're still keeping up, right? Like less than 1k lead, very even game, 33 to 31. AG, they just seem to be finding themselves so tightly bound in the series. Both teams just very evenly matched. And as you mentioned, Mike, you said it a while ago, we could reach 60 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah, we're already at the 51-minute mark. It's already almost been 2 hours for this this series. We may as well just go all the way. See what comes out from these neutrals. Of course, Roshan's back up. Aegis, or rather, Aghanim Scepter is the option there for the Roshan. Both teams gonna be playing for that. Thing is, if Execration manage to get this Roshan, yeah, they should be able to close out this game or at least get mega creeps. Army Geniuses, I can't say the same for them. No matter how many items they get, they just don't have any high ground. It's just so tough.
I think they do. It's just down to DB getting Ags, so I think that makes this Rosh doubly important for the free Ags onto the Razor. Just to have the Eye of the Storm hitting buildings will help your high ground, and it does drop their armor as well. I do believe it will apply that, so makes that entire process a lot faster. But they can't really commit. Like, you can't fight Rosh without knowing where the Magnus Tide are, and Execration, they've smoked up. They are going to go hunting. No wards from AG to break, but they do have high ground here if they just hold their position.
Best into Bob. Me again with that double doom. Very, very scary stuff. Alright. Has his smoke broken? Gonna jump in, Ravage.
Oh.
No, it's juked out. It does connect on 2 in the end, but they're way too far away, and now the counter initiation is going to be here from AG as they jump right into that Tide Hunter in the backside though. Bob going to blow up Barish. He'll commit the buyback. Doom, one of them is blocked off. They'll get the second though. Onto the Life Stealer now. You've got very little you can do as a Bard. He needs some help. The help's incoming. It's not going to be enough though. He's still caught out and eventually will go down. No buyback on the Life Stealer. That's a problem.
Radiant's courier has been
Bob's going to be alright to get out. They're looking for the stragglers. Execration, they get everyone else out of there. But Roshan is open. The Ags will be a real big blessing to DB if he can pick it up.
Yeah,
Army Genius is primed to take this Roshan now.
Tino is still in position for good double RP. He's got to refresh up. So I think that's why AG might be playing a bit more cautious. They still can't fully commit without knowing where Tino's at. His smoke though,
Yeah, nice Horn Toss skewer back onto LYM. He's got the time lapse, however. We just fine as... They'll have to go back for this Roshan, surely. I mean, you've got 70 seconds without Life Stealer. You've got to try and go. Obviously, they're still quite afraid as Tino's been able to turn this game around multiple times already. And is looking to make it another time. But if you can't get the Roshan without the Life Stealer alive, when are you ever going to get it?
You've got to take the Magnus down. Again, I don't think the Tide's the problem. It's the RP skewer back play with a Horn Toss as well. So you have to take care of Tino. He's the highest priority target next to the Life Stealer. And as long as Tino's alive, that just means you can't make any moves. He still will try, but it's just so awkward with the constant Spirit coming out as well. The Remnant to catch them out and give vision. They will slowly go. 30 seconds left for the Life Stealer, but Tino is smoked up with Ninja.
Oh, that'll be the first one whiffed. He does get hexed up as well. This is a very awkward situation for Tino. He'll BKB TP up, but he's going all the way back to the fountain.
That's an opening. That's 15 seconds without without the Life Healer. Magnus is going to make a run up. He has refresh. He's ready to go for an RP. If AG did not notice the refresh, this could be trouble.
Bob's in. He's going to try and buy more time for Tino to make his way over. Wami is going to make the jump in as well. They've got Bob down. The Void Spirit is also down without buyback. In comes BDC now. He's going to try for a TP, but he's not making it out. 2 heroes down without buyback. Aegis will go the way of DB. He does get the Aghanim Scepter blessing as well. In fact, he takes everything. And at this point, you have to. You have to go high ground. There's no other choice.
No, they've got double Doom up again. They will have double Eye of the Storm with the Ags up soon. And this is where it gets dicey. It has to be perfectly executed from Tino, from a bot, and from RR. The chain stunts have to fly out. They have to be able to make something happen. The bot lane is massively shoved in though. but they have sent Varish back to clear out, and Grimstroke can get that job done with a Stroke of Fate. So they've got some protection there. High ground push beginning from DB. The tower, it's still not too fast, but the Eye of the Storm is at least there.
Oh, they caught him. What a torrent out from Azura. He predicts the movement of Tino, and now Wami will jump in, but you've got up out there, and the Bravage again from RR connecting on basically everyone. But is it going to matter? Buybacks were committed, Execration. This could be the last time they defend this space. If they're not too careful, but no. Army Geniuses, they are not feeling it. They are out once again.
Yeah, they bought back on Wami. He has the refresh, but they're going to take their time. There is still the RP. But with the buybacks forced out, I think you're still in a good position for AG. You just need to kind of work the angles. They are still at a complete Rax disadvantage, not able to siege into any lane. So their bot and mid will just constantly shove against them. Execration, they've smoked out. They need to make something happen. They commit the buybacks. They're not satisfied with just the defense.
OIM. Gonna be fine with the Sakuchi. Azura was spotted. Bob gonna try with the 8th Remnant, but he's off the mark. But now Soulbind, double Hex is out, and the double Doom's there. Wami, he's got 2 great targets. This is not looking good for Execration, as Tino's gonna drop. He'll buy back immediately, but in the meantime, this Lifestealer can't get anything done. The Doom wears off though. He'll pop a Satanic. He's trying to heal, but it's not enough. He will drop. Back in we go. Where's this Magnus? Trying to make his way back over. In the meantime, BDZ is going down slowly but surely as Bob. He'll re-engage onto DB now. This Razor, he'll drop low as well. He's got the Aegis, however. A secondary life. In the meantime, Bob again back in onto Wami. They want that Doom. Tino, no RP. The silence is there in time. He'll refresh, but it doesn't matter. He's down with that buyback. My goodness, what a game number 2 we have on our hands. They've still got to address the dire base, but they have another opportunity to try and go high ground.
It's just nutty, man. DB with that quick Blood Torn use. And I think that's where the Horn Toss nerf is felt, or at least, well, the Skewer back. There was no follow-up stun, so there's a window there for DB to just immediately apply some control, and he did. And there's just so much Tino has to do to get that counterplay going. And now, AG, knowing that there was a dieback on that mag, they don't need to worry about that for a while. They will go for the push again. Still a slow process. I'm actually surprised with how slow it is, even with the Eye of the Storm upgrade. But they should at least be able to equalize one lane. I don't know if they can really fully commit for anything more, like jumping straight to tier 4s. The respawn isn't as long as you'd expect. And they just don't move fast enough on the high ground to really leverage the fact that it's a 4v5 here.
Army Geniuses. They're going to try without Tino. BDZ just casually use the finger out. Meanwhile, Bob dies to Wami. Alright, that's not good news. Bob's down for 2 minutes. And that means tier 4 towers now for Army Geniuses. Very hard to expect a defense without Tino and Bob at the same time. They're going to have to try. They'll make the jump in onto LYM, but the Aeon is going to protect us now. RR has been chased down. He's got Ravage. He needs to probably just pop it, and he will commit, but Azura, he had the BKB. He'll be just fine as they take down the Tide without buyback. Meanwhile, Abart, he's trying to fight in the back by himself, but he's surrounded now. BDZ will respawn up and try to help him out, and Abart is going to make it back to the fountain. And Tino's up in 5 seconds. DB will give the tip over to Abart, but they might back off again. They do not like the side of Tino.
They've got the refresh back up in DB though. Wami, Doom back up. Just one Doom, but if he gets the right target, that could make the difference here.
Gotta be careful, Wami, he'll jump in, but no Doom out yet. He's not feeling it. Meanwhile, the Ancient, look at it just get shredded here by the Thunder. There's the RP out. The Ancient's still going down. Skewer away, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was just attacking the whole time. What a series we've had between these two Army Geniuses. They managed to pull off the 2-0 victory, but my God, did it take some work.
That's such an impressive showing from Army Geniuses, though. Like, compared to yesterday, they just looked defeated. And their early game wasn't shaping up, their late game wasn't shaping up. This time, there was still that early game struggle. In game 1 and game 2, it was very apparent that They weren't getting quite as much as they wanted from lanes. This time, except for Wami, though, he was just left alone in Doom, but that's a Doom. And they were building up. They never had a network lead for a long time, even with a Doom, which was bad news, but they just hold out long enough and they made it work. Like they had that, there was that issue of scaling you mentioned, Mike, and it goes back to the playstyle because they both scale in different ways. RP scales as a strong teamfight spell, but so does Doom. With double Doom coming through, you control out the Lifestealer still, you control out the Magnus. And DB scaled with his refresh as well, and the control from Azure was there as well. So I think AG just managed to hit these item spikes. They weren't shut down to that path of scaling. If you did manage to stop AG from hitting refresh on DB and Wami from hitting Ag's timing on Azura, I think you could have closed out as Execration, but they take these fights while some of the cores were still building up, and once they hit those items, it just became a very even game that was banking on execution, but AG just showing us again they can hold out and play to the knife's edge here.
Well, we've got another series coming up with Execration. The poor guys, they just went through two real long games, and now they're going to have to go against Polaris in another best-of-2 series to end the night off. It's MLP Dota and johnxfire, and I believe we are going to have a 10-minute break. Not 100%
15,
sure
I
yet.
think, for back-to-backs.
No, it's 20. Never mind. Our admin has
Alright,
confirmed
okay.
it is 20 minutes we're going to have to wait for this final series to begin. So we'll be back in 20 minutes to see how this final series does pan out.